Hi, this is Rhonda, and today we are going to make, it's going to be a kosher crust, and it's going to be a pecan pie. So the first step is we're going to measure out, we got 1 stick of butter, which is a 1/2 cup of butter. On the butter it shows you that it's a 1/2 cup. That's 1 stick, and I did soften this. I let it sit on the counter a while so it's soft. I'm going to put that in the bowl first. I'm going to adjust the camera so you can see. Okay, so I have that, and then I'm going to do one cup of flour. I'm going to level this, level it off. I'm measuring flour. And then I need 3 tablespoons of water, which I have a liquid measure that actually has 3 tables. It has all the markings. It has tablespoons, it has teaspoons, milliliters. So here is 3 tablespoons of water, and I'm just going to kind of drizzle it in. And I'm going to, I use a pastry, this is called a pastry blender. You can use 2 forks also if you don't have one of these, but this will make making a crust a lot easier. Also, I'm going to put in just a dash of salt. And then I'm just gonna go to the sink and just get like just a tad. I'm gonna finish putting in the rest of the water. And then I'm gonna have a tad of water sitting on the side just in case it's a little bit dry. So I always used to do the butter with the lard crust, which is on my previous video. And then I had a neighbor friend that wanted me to make them a pie, but they kept kosher, so you can't, lard is pork fat, so they couldn't eat the pork fat. They said, would you be able to make me a pie without any lard in it? So I actually came up with this recipe myself. So I've only really done it one other time without the lard, because the lard makes it easier to work with. So I might have to add a little bit extra water. That's why I put a little bit extra water. And I'm just going to do the one pie today. The key on this, though, for sure, is to let your butter sit on the counter, maybe even an hour. Like, make sure that it softens up. Otherwise, it's not going to be easy to work with at all. So I can already tell that I'm probably going to have to add a little bit more water, but it is starting to blend. Now, the pastry blender, I think you would probably either have to order one online or go to a specialized kitchen store, because I actually went looking to just see how easy they are to find, and they're not easy to find anymore. So I would suggest going online or going to a specialized kitchen store for a pastry blender. You don't want to put this in your mixer and mix it. If anything, like I said, a couple of forks, because you don't want to overmix it, because if you overmix crust, it will not be flaky, and you want a flaky crust. Okay, getting very close. And I like to use a bowl that has a wide bottom to it, because it makes it easier to blend all the ingredients. It's very, very, very close. I'm going to add, like I said, just a little bit more water. Hope everybody's having a good day today. Okay, we're getting very, very close. Okay, now if you get it too wet, don't worry about it if it's just a little bit too wet, because I'm going to flour the cutting board that we're going to roll out the crust with. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem. You don't want it too dry or it's going to crack. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. I'm going to put the flour on the cutting board. Get my hands cleaned up. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of flour on the cutting board. Pecan pie you put it together pretty quick once you get past the crust. So in the meantime, I've preheated my oven to 325 so that it'll be ready. Also, I like to put the flour on my hands, so it'll be ready when we're ready to put the pie in. You definitely always want to preheat your oven, because if you don't preheat your oven and then you try to put something in there, you're most likely going to burn it, because the oven gets very, very hot fast. Okay, so I am taking all the dough out of this bowl. I'm going to put this into a circle. Put it down. I'm going to kind of move it down a little this way. It's kind of sticky, so I'm going to add more flour. I'm even going to put a little bit of flour on top. And I'm going to just start rolling it out. And I personally like to have a thin crust on my pies. I'm going to roll this out as thin as possible. And because it's an all butter crust, I feel like I'm more often having to put, it's pretty sticky, more often having to put the flour on the rolling pin. Really close. Keep on going. Hopefully it doesn't break. So we have to do repair work. If I feel like it's a little thick here, then I'll do that. A little bit there. Okay. So I think we might be ready. I'm going to take I like to cook in glass. Now, if you were going to go ahead and give this pie away, then you would want to definitely use one of the reusable pie tins. I mean, not reusable, one of the disposable pie tins that you can get. And a lot of them come with lids, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll this, hopefully without breaking it. And if you end up having it, well, it's kind of wanting to stick. Okay, only in one location. Okay, so what I'm going to do, okay, we just had a little area here that kind of wanted to stick. Just going to clean that up. And I'm going to put this down, finish rolling this up, and I'm going to roll it back like this. Oh, I got a hole. I'll have to repair it. I'm going to push this down. I have a serrated knife here, and I'm going to trim some of this away on the edges, and then I can repair, take this and repair this spot. And push it down. And you just have to make sure, if you have some areas like this that it didn't quite get to, push that down. Okay, so if I have some spots here that I had to do repair work on. I'm going to want to get my fingers a little wet here, a little bit extra water, and just smooth it. Let's see. We'll do a spot over here so you can see it better. Just take a little bit of water and just smooth it. Okay, so now I'm going to go around like this to make sure that I have all the glass being covered. You're going to want to go around the edges. Besides just having all the pie crust be even, the other thing I'm doing is making sure, especially when I do this, I'm making sure there's no air bubbles underneath, because otherwise it'll bubble up and then stuff will be bubbling out. So I feel like this side's a little bit thicker, so I'm going to kind of push it into the center to even it out. Each time you do a pie crust, it's going to be slightly different. There's no way to have it 100% the same each time. There's my oven. It says it's preheated, but it does not take that long to do the filling. Now the recipe that I'm going to be showing you here in a few minutes is the recipe that is on most of your corn syrup bottles, but then I've modified it a little. So I will tell you how I modified it. So you can always just follow the recipe exactly, or you can go ahead and do it the way that I discovered over the years that I like it a little bit better that way. So we're looking pretty good here. Still kind of trying to move a little bit to make this side the same thickness as this side for some reason. It's not a machine doing it, it's a person doing it, so it's not going to always be perfect every time. So you just try to make it as uniform as possible from one side to the next. And then what I do, once I get it, that I take a fork, and I don't go all the way down, but I just ever so softly poke holes, and that'll help it also not bubble. So there is the pie crust, and next thing we're going to do is work on the pie filling. Now we're going to do the pie filling. Now I would always recommend when you are dealing with either fruit or nuts to go ahead and taste it first to make sure that it's fresh, whether it's a piece of fruit or a nut. So I'm going to go ahead and taste a pecan to make sure these pecans are good. Very good. They're very good. So no problem there. So I have measured out the recipe. Actually, I've measured out 2 cups. The recipe actually calls for 1 1/4 cup pecan. Now over the years I've modified it to 2 cups of pecans because I think it tastes better. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the eggs. So 3 eggs. 1, 2. Okay, I adjusted the camera so you can see what I'm doing. It occurred to me you were looking at me instead of the eggs. Okay, so here's the other egg. So that's 3. And yes, I got an eggshell in here, so I need to take the shell to fish out the eggshells. I love the brown eggs because they actually taste better, like if you make yourself an omelet or sunny side up eggs. So I just started buying the brown eggs all the time, but it's a little bit, for some reason, I always get shell. When I was doing the white eggs, I did not, or I didn't see it. I'm not sure which, but I do know that the brown eggs taste better, so now I'm hooked on the brown eggs. All right, so next ingredient So I'm going to put this in here. Actually, what I'm going to do is, I'm following along what it says, but I got the 3 eggs. I'm going to kind of mix those up a little. And right now, because what I like to do is add the extract to the eggs, so I'm going to do that right now, even though that's not the directions. I tend to, not always, but I tend to modify the directions often. So it's going to be a teaspoon of vanilla, so I'm just going to put that in with the eggs, so I'll know that I did my extract already. All right, so I did that already, and then, so we need to do the eggs, got the eggs, and then a cup of sugar, you want to level it off. You're measuring sugar, so a cup of sugar, then a cup of corn syrup. Now, you can use the name brand or you can use the other brand, doesn't really matter. Now, I'm going to show you how to measure liquid ingredients. So here is the one cup right here. When measuring liquid ingredients, you have to get level. So this is the trickiest part of this whole thing, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to have to get all the way down here, and I need 1 cup of corn syrup. It could be the light corn syrup, it could be the dark, whatever you prefer. And I have to get down here and I have to see, and you have to use a liquid measuring cup to do oil or corn syrup, or any type of syrup, or molasses, or any of that sort of stuff. So I'm waiting till I see it level. Okay. I'm going to try to show you. So when you're looking on a level surface and you're looking across, what I saw is it's level with the 1 cup. Now here's the tricky part. I had a teacher show me how to do this, because when I was before I went to middle school, my dad actually sent me one year for summer school, and he said, hey, you want to take a baking class? And I said, yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. The lady in the baking class showed us how to measure everything the proper way. So when doing corn syrup, you must use like a rubber spatula. So if you don't have a rubber spatula, I mean, you could use a metal one. I would recommend buying one if you're planning on doing a lot of baking. But the important thing is just to scrape every bit of it, because there's actually quite a bit that gets stuck to the sides when you're dealing with corn syrup. I mean, you could use your fingers. It would be very sticky. Okay. So I think I got the majority. I think I got, still there's like a lot in there. Sometimes I'll get the smaller jar of the corn syrup, and then I double the recipe, and then I can just put the whole jar in there if it's the smaller one. Okay, so there we go. We have that done. To me, that's the hardest part of the entire, hardest part of the entire baking of this pecan pie is the corn syrup. Okay, so I got my eggs, I have my sugar, I have my corn syrup, and now I need to melt 2 tablespoons of butter, which I already put 2 tablespoons in here. I'm going to pop this in the microwave, and I will melt it. Okay, so I have the melted butter, and I would recommend using an oven mitt to get it out of the microwave oven, but this happened to be cool enough that I could just do this, but you know, everybody's microwave's different. Okay, so I'm going to put the 2 tablespoons of melted butter in here, and that's done, and I already did the vanilla with my egg, so I don't need to worry about that. And I'm going to mix this up in my mixer, and then I'm going to hand stir in the pecans, because I don't want the pecans to get broken up, and they're a nice, they look really nice right now, so I don't want that to happen. Okay, so now I'm going to mix this up, and then I'll show you the consistency it is when it's done. Okay, so that's what it's looking like right now. I'm going to take my rubber spatula and I'm going to go ahead and just make sure nothing's stuck to the bottom. Okay, I'm going to run it through the mixer one more time. Play it safe, make sure everything is properly mixed. The key to making any baked good very good is to make sure that it mixes well. So I'm dripping everything with this, okay. Okay, so now we're ready to add our pecans. And I'm going to just, already pre-measured, I got 2 cups of pecans, and I'm going to just mix them in by hand. That way they don't get broken up. Okay, so now that we've mixed this up, if you let it set for a second, you're going to want to remix it for sure. You don't want the pecan separating from the liquid. And then you just pour this in here. So what I like to do is just make sure that these pecans are looking good. In other words, I'm just kind of going like this, so when it's done, it looks like there's pecans all over the top and not have a gap. Okay, this is ready to get popped in the oven. Okay, time to pop it in the oven. This is how it's looking. And I'm going to put it in the middle. Down here. Okay. And the recipe says 50 to 55 minutes, but I'm going to check it periodically. I'm going to set a timer for 45 minutes just to double check, but I'm probably going to go ahead and check it in between that, and I will show you so that you can see kind of the different stages. So see you soon. Okay, so hi. So we're 20 minutes into the baking process, and it's supposed to take 50 to 55 minutes. I set a timer for 45 just to check, but I wanted to show you the in-between, how things are looking. I'm going to open up the oven, and we're going to look, and everything looks good. We don't have anything pouring over the sides, which might happen, but we don't currently, so that's great. All right, so I will be back with you shortly so we can take a peek in just a little bit. Okay, so we are checking on the pecan pie now, and I'm going to take a look-see. And it looks like I should have put something underneath the pie, like a cookie sheet or something, because it is dripping. So it did bubble over a little bit. Maybe I just put a hair too much because sometimes I'm used to using a bigger pie tin. So that's going to be a mess. That's going to be fun to clean up. But so far, everything's looking and smelling good as far as that. I do smell something burning, but it is that. So I would recommend, perhaps I should have put it on the top rack and put a cookie sheet underneath, or just I can't put a cookie sheet where it's dripping because some of the heating elements are there and that would mess things up. But I probably should have put the cookie sheet underneath, put the pie up here and put the cookie sheet here. But anyway, we will be back shortly to check and see if it's done. Okay, this is looking good. And yes, some of it bubbled over, and I will have to clean my stove, but I'm going to show you what this looks like. And that's the color that you definitely want. I could have probably went with a little bit deeper of a pie tin, and then maybe it wouldn't have boiled over, but maybe it would have anyway, because it's happened to me a lot. But if I'm not making a mess in the kitchen, I am not cooking. And there's my timer telling me it's time to pull it, but I knew that. I'm going to just go ahead and turn this off. Okay, so one look again at the pie. And it smells delicious. And just in a little bit, I'll be back with you and I will taste test it. It's got to cool down 100% because you do not want to eat a pecan pie hot like this because you'd burn your mouth. Apple pie is good hot, but not this hot. So we will be back in a while and I will taste test the pecan pie with kosher crust. Hi, I'm back and it's time to go ahead and taste test the pecan pie with kosher crust. And I'm going to let you see how it looks right now that it cooled down to room temperature. So that's how it looks. I'm going to cut a piece and taste it.